Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, last time highlighted the value, continuing this conversation on the gift of exposure, and highlighted, particularly in my life, how multiculturalism and being exposed to various cultures and people from those cultures has just enriched and blessed my life beyond measure. And when you think about exposing yourself to new people, places, things, I mean, there's restaurants, cities, travel. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can look at this. But folks, just expose yourself. Don't let fear hold you back. And I wanted to close this series out by just highlighting the fact that when you expose yourself, when we expose ourselves to things and people, and particularly unique, new situation, things and people, how it really increases our depth in terms of appreciating those people and just kind of having a greater level of awareness, all right, as more so than we would otherwise. And so when I mentioned the multiculturalism aspect and how I grew up with that, different cultures, friends, different cultures and backgrounds, and had the awesome opportunity to live in Seoul, Korea, just how awesome that was, and how those experiences definitely hardwired me for multiculturalism. And that's something I will be 99 years old still loving it. That is something that is so near and dear to my heart. But I appreciate those folks from various multicultural backgrounds because I was exposed. All right, and I think for those who kind of limit themselves and who stay stuck in this perhaps ethnocentric mindset of my culture's the best, my country's the best, whatever, to the exclusion of others, you're missing out on a lot. For those who may have that mindset, you are missing out on rich, wonderful opportunities to learn and grow and just to be a better human being. And when I think about just even my own exposure, and just from a collegiate standpoint, undergrad, Louisiana, that was great, learned a lot, some great experiences, left there, moved to Miami, and got my first master's degree, and I just felt that, and then I got my third degree or my second master's degree from Northwestern University in Chicago, Evanston. And so when I think about even from an educational standpoint, how unique each of those experiences were, but also I felt that they serve as preparation for the next step. But I was exposed to certain things in Louisiana, and in particular Louisiana has been a years-long struggle in terms of budget and just fiscal problems and fiscal issues, and there's not a lot of money to invest in higher education. And then I moved to Florida, and that state was certainly a lot more prosperous, and there were scholarships, there was grants, there's just things like that so many things that weren't available to me in Louisiana. But then left there and then went to Northwestern. And you think about the small private college there in Evanston, and I mean, money was no object. And I just look back and I'm thinking, this small little school has got a $10 billion endowment. It was just mind-boggling to me. And so the experiences that came along with that, and just the exposure of me, I had never seen. I was obviously there a little bit older as a student, and that was my second master's degree, but seeing 18-year-olds come on campus and they're driving $90,000 Range Rovers, like that was a whole new experience for me. That was unique. I truly, that was a very big learning experience, but also the cost differential. You think about how much my college education cost in Louisiana, and then you compare it to now what Northwestern charges, more than $75K a year in terms of the total cost per year for a student. So very big difference, but also very different expectations. But the exposure, when people often ask me, about my experience there, and they want to know and whatever this and that, whether you're talking about there, whether you're talking about Harvard, or you're talking about particularly your more elite private universities, and even some of your top public schools, what you get in a lot of those experiences in those environments is exposure. And if there's one word that I would use to describe, going back to my Northwestern experience, it is just absolute exposure. I mean, the type of people we would hear as guest speakers, the type of people that were guest lecturing in our classes, and the professors that we had, and just the network of alumni that we have around the world was just tremendous. The doors that open, that are open to you because of the school that you go to, and but I was just exposed to so much that I just never even imagined. I mean, I look back to the 18-year-old Rachelle that entered college in Louisiana, and there's just so many things. By the time I left and graduated from Northwestern, just my expectations were so much higher because I had been exposed to so much. I could do this, I could do that, I could I had seen people with my own eyes and talked to people with my own eyes who had done so many great things and unique things and made their marks on the world in various ways. And I taught myself, I've always been driven and all of that and goal-oriented, but because I had been exposed to so much in that last experience, it truly changed the trajectory of my life. And when I look back on my corporate years, when I think back to how, fellow Northwestern alumni, every job that I had in the corporate world was because a Northwestern alum referred me. And so that was a cool, we talk about the power of the network. That network just really helped me out in the corporate world, but even on a personal level, just the many people that I've known from Northwestern are part of my network. And, when I got a speaking engagement, I had been trying at General Motors for a very long time to get a speaking engagement, but then, a fellow alumna helped me out. I didn't know her sight unseen. She was actually a senior vice president, Alicia Bowler Davis at the time, but a fellow Northwestern alum actually reached out to her, and she recommended me to speak at a leadership luncheon, and then that just broke down like 2 to 3 years worth of work instantly because of that network. And so I just challenge you. You don't have to go to the Northwesterns of the world. You could be right where you are, which is right where you need to be in terms of where your college is, where your workplace is, but just exposing yourself. And that's the power, even just thinking about on a broad level, networking, getting outside of your comfort zone and meeting different people and joining different professional organizations, getting out there, meeting different people, exposing yourself, but also growing your own network. All right, but that comes from exposure. People who sit at home, people that don't ever network, people that don't know a lot of people in their professional circle, don't have very big professional circles, they don't know a lot of people in their professional community. All right, these are the people that are stuck at home, that aren't going anywhere, aren't doing anything, and aren't networking. All right, because they're not exposed. So when the new company opens up and they need a director of HR, then that person, if you got a strong network, there's people that can refer you, there's people that can vouch for you, just whatever the case may be. But that all comes with exposure. That comes with getting out there, making yourselves known. And I'll close with this last point because it's something that people laugh at me, and it's funny too. But I'll kind of explain to you why. But I have such a tremendous, great love and respect for attorneys, and I know a lot of attorneys. All different types of attorneys. Across the country. It's amazing to me how my network of just knowing attorneys is so vast, and it's incredible. And yes, many of those folks are through the Northwestern Alumni Association, but my exposure, it is why I appreciate them so much. And I meet them, whether it be, at a networking event, or they're speaking somewhere, or if it's at an activity, if it's some type of, whether it's a luncheon or a dinner type of situation that's being held by an organization, I am guaranteed almost to be sitting next to an attorney or a group of attorneys. It's just amazing how that works out. And I have such great respect and appreciation for that, because if you know me personally, I'm asking questions. Everyone to me that I encounter, attorney or not, is always a teacher. I like to learn from people. I like to ask questions, and that's why I have such great respect and admiration for the legal field, because I know a lot of lawyers, and they have taught me a whole lot. I've been mentored by lawyers, but that's just the exposure. And so when I meet a new lawyer, or just meet someone at a networking event or something like that, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm an attorney," and I say, "Oh, I think attorneys are awesome. What kind do you practice?" And they kind of laugh more than often than not, and say, "Well, I am not used to hearing people say that they like lawyers." And I'm like, "Well, yes, you guys are great, and I always learn so much from you, just the analytical ability that's required and the focus on facts. And I always walk away from a conversation with any type of lawyer just a better thinker." But that's because I've been exposed, and I'm very comfortable in those situations, talking to attorneys, networking with attorneys, sitting down and having dinner next to an attorney at an event, because I've been exposed, and I've met some wonderful people, some wonderful attorneys. This Cindy Brody right here in one of our Northwestern alumni in Metro Detroit, Barry Silverman. There's just so many, Carol Morita, in Chicago. There's just so many different awesome attorneys that I've met through the Northwestern Network, but also just in general. They went to some great law schools, across the country. But that's because I've been exposed. Okay, obviously I worked in medical sales for years. I'm very, very comfortable dealing with doctors, any type of doctor, physician, medical professional. A lot of people are intimidated by doctors and lawyers, but no, I've been exposed to so many of them and so many different types that it's just second nature. But the exposure made the difference. So if you find yourself particularly afraid of something, or afraid of someone, or afraid of a group of people, or you're intimidated, or you're unsure, that's because you just haven't exposed yourself. And I challenge you here in this final episode here, expose yourself. Don't stay small. Don't keep your world small if it is. Don't let your world become small, because there's so much life that is available to you by exposing yourself, getting out there, meeting people, getting outside your comfort zone. Yes, being uncomfortable at times, being intimidated, being afraid, but I am living proof to you what a full, wonderful life awaits you when you decide to expose yourself to new things in life. It's possible, folks. Give it a try. And folks, I appreciate your time during this series, and I can't wait to my next series, so stay tuned for that on discovering your life purpose. Folks, I cannot wait for that series, so stay tuned for it. It's coming here soon, soon, soon. All right, so until then, thanks again for your time, and make it a wonderful day.